Namaskaraha. In Sanskritam, when we want to use a sentence in the past tense, we generally hear that we can use the words like gatavan, gatavati, drishtavan, drishtavati, like this, uh, as a past tense words. But is it really past tense? We are going to take a look at this topic today. The words like gatavan, gatavati, or drishtavan, drishtavati, these are the krudanta words with a krit pratyaya called tavatu. Some of the examples are here. Ramaha vanam gatavan, Sita harinam drishtavati, Ramaha marutina saha militavan, Marutihi samudram langhitavan, Sita chudamanim dattavati, Ramaha ravanam maritavan. In these sentences, the words like gatavan, drishtavati, militavan, langhitavati, these are all the words, kridanta words, with the krit pratyaya called tavatu. And as we have come to know that these are in the past tense. When we say Ramaha vanam gatavan, that means Rama went to the forest. Sita harinam drishtavati means Sita saw the deer. Like this, these are the in the past tense. That is what we have come to know of. Now there is another form of past tense also, which is shown on the right side here, where we use the lang lakara form of a kriyapadam, of a dhatu. For example, here the left side where it says Ramaha vanam gatavan, the same sentence here written as Ramaha vanam agachat. So agachat here is the lang lakara form of the dhatu gam, and the second sentence here is Sita harinam apashyat. So apashyat is the lang lakara form of the dhatu drush. So which means Sita harinam apashyat. That means Sita saw a deer. Next one is Ramaha Maritina saha amilat. So Rama met with Maruti. So amilat, alanghayat, adadat, amarayat. These are the lang lakara form, which indicates, which is actually in the Sanskritam it is called anadyatana bhutakala, means the kriya or the action which has happened not today. That means which has happened before, not today. So in that sense, this lang lakara is used here. So now there are two sets here. On the left side we have this gatavan, drishtavati, militavan, these kinds of words which are supposed to be used in the past tense here, and the same sentences on the right side which are using the lang lakara form of the those dhatus. Now what is the difference here? Are they exactly same? Is the meaning same? Let's take a look at that. In a Sanskrita vakyam or a Sanskrit sentence, a verb or a kriyapadam is the main part. It's the main word. So when we say Ramaha gatavan, Ramaha vanam gatavan, in that sentence, if we just say Ramaha vanam gatavan, there is no verb in that. So Ramaha is a namapadam, vanam is a namapadam, gatavan is also namapadam. Gatavan is a namapadam, so because it is a krudanta padam asti. So when we say Ramaha vanam gatavan, there is no kriyapadam in that. So the kriyapadam is assumed here as asti. So we can add asti and we can say Ramaha vanam gatavan asti. Sita harinam drishtavati asti. Ramaha maritana saha militavan asti. Now what does this mean? Ramaha vanam gatavan asti means what? So is this different than saying Ramaha vanam gatavan? So here note that this gatavan, drishtavati, militavan, these krudanta forms, these are namapadam, these are actually visheshanam. They are not kriyapadam or they are not verbs. So if we just say Ramaha Vanam Gatavan, that means Rama went to, if we translate it as Rama went to the forest, it is not the complete or the correct translation or the complete story there, because there is no verb. When you say Rama went to the forest, in that sentence there is a verb called went to the forest. But here Rama Vanam Gatavan, Gatavan is not a Kriyapadam. It is still a Namapadam, and it is coming as a Visheshanam to Rama actually here, because Gatavan is also in the Pullinga Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachanam. So Rama is also Pullinga Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachanam. So here Gatavan is coming as a Visheshanam Namapadam. So we should not be thinking that Gatavan means went to or went to, that is in the past tense as a Kriyapadam. It is not a Kriyapadam. So you should not be thinking directly like that. It is a Visheshanam to Ramaha. So when we add Asti, what does that mean? Ramaha Vanam Gatavan Asti. That means Rama is in the status of gone or reached the forest. Rama and Gatavan both are pointing to the same object here. So similarly here, Sita Harinam Drushtavati. In this, Sita is the one who has seen the deer. This doesn't actually translate to Sita saw the deer. Sita Harinam Drushtavati means Sita is the one who has seen the deer. So now Sita Harinam Drushtavati Asti, that makes now the meaning something like this, translation something like this. Sita is the one who has seen the deer. Similarly, Ramaha Marutina Saha Militavan Asti. Rama is the one who has met Maruti. Maruti Samudram Langhitavan Asti. Maruti is the one who has crossed the sea or the ocean. So like this, these Tavatu ending Krudanta words like Gatavan, Drushtavati, all these are the Visheshanam of the other noun, and both of them are pointing to the same object. So Gatavan, Drushtavati, etc. These are not actually the Kriyapadam. So by adding this Asti Kriyapadam, we are, if we add this Asti Kriyapadam, that makes that notion, or that Gatavan is a Visheshanam or Drushtavati is Visheshanam, it becomes clearer here. It is easier to understand that it's a Visheshanam. Otherwise, if there is no Kriyapadam like Asti, if we just say Ramahavanam Gatavan, there is a tendency to think that Gatavan means went, Drushtavati means we saw. They are not Kriyapadam. So now that is the thing we need to understand here. When we say the sentence Ramaha Vanam Gatavan Asti, that Asti is the Latlakara form or the Vartamana Kala form of Asthatu, present tense. So the translation is something like Rama is the one who has reached the forest, or whose status is having reached the forest. So note that there is Asti, so we are using is. Rama is the one. So as I talk now, his status is that of having reached the forest. That means he has already reached the forest as I talk now. Now that Asti can be replaced by the Langlakara form of Asthatu, which is the past tense form, which is Asit. In that case, the sentence will be Ramaha Vanam Gatavan Asit. Now the translation is like Ramaha was, because there is Asit, instead of is, we are using was. Rama was the one who has reached the forest. Now there is a difference, like Rama is the one who has reached the forest. Rama was the one who had reached the forest. Now that same Asit or Asti can be replaced by Bhavishyati, which is the Ritlakara form or the Bhavishyat Kala form of Asthatu. So Ramaha Vanam Gatavan Bhavishyati. So in this case, what will be the meaning? Sometime in future, Rama's status will be the one who has reached the forest. Okay? That means, as I'm talking now, he has not reached the forest. He has not reached the forest in the past also. But because I'm using Bhavishyati as the Kriyapadam, he will be reaching the forest sometime in future. So if I say Ramaha Vanam Gatavan Bhavishyati Agrima Samvatsare, that means in sometime in the next year, he will be reaching the forest, or his status will become that of being reached the forest. So just by saying Ramaha Vanam Gatavan doesn't necessarily make it the past tense, means the Kriya has taken place in the past. It is also important to know what is the actual Kriyapadam there. Is it Asit, Asti or Bhavishyati, whether it is referring to Vartamana Kala or Bhutakala or Bhavishyat Kala. So this is Gatavan, this Tavatu form, that is indicating, yes, Bhutakala, but with relation to the actual Kriyapadam, actual Kala of the actual Kriyapadam. For example, Kriyapadam is Asti, which is the present tense, or Asit past tense, or Bhavishyati future tense. So if it is Bhavishyati in relation to that Kala, Bhavishyat Kala, Gatavan means the status of the Rama is Gatavan, means his status will be uh, that of being reached, the forest, with relation to the Bhavishyat Kala, not right now. So it is not an absolute past tense. It doesn't just indicate the past tense in the absolute sense. With relation to the actual Kriyapadam, it indicates the past in relation to the Kala of the actual Kriyapadam, like Asti or Asit or Bhavishyati. Now, if we use this like Gatavan, Gatavantam, this Tavatu words in other vibhaktis, then it is even better to understand, get the grasp or grasp their meaning and how they are used as a Visheshanam here. Vanam Gatavantam Ramam Aham Apashyam. This is one example here. That means Vanam Gatavantam Ramam Aham Apashyam. Here what is Gatavantam means? Gatavantam means who has gone already. Like here, Vanam Gatavantam Ramam. Rama who has already gone to the forest. So that Rama I see. I see that Rama who has already gone to the forest. Now this again, note that Apashyam is coming here in the past tense. This is the actual real Kriyapadam. So this is coming in the Lang Lakara. So I have seen that means I saw Rama in the past, which is indicated by Aham Ramam Apashyam. That is the basic or the base sentence here. I saw Rama, Aham Ramam Apashyam. This is the absolute past tense. There is no doubt about it. Apashyam means that Kriya or Kriya of seeing, action of seeing happened in the past. So there is not relative thing. So Aham Ramam Apashyam. Now if I add Gatavantam Ramam Apashyam, that means Rama's status has already been that of being reached, the forest, with respect to this Kriya of seeing, verb of seeing, the action of seeing. The action of seeing is already completed in the past. So at that time only, the Rama's status is also that of being reached the forest. That means he had already reached the forest at the time of seeing, when I saw him. Now if you take the next sentence here, Vanam Gatavantam Ramam Aham Drakshami. Now here Drakshami is in the Lat Lakara Bhavishyat Kala. Means I will be seeing or I will see Rama. I will see Rama. Ramam Aham Drakshami, that is the basic sentence here. But if I add the Visheshanam Gatavantam, which is like a Tavatu form, that's a Krudanta form ending in Tavatu there, Gatavantam. That is the Dvitiya Bhakti, because Ramam is Dvitiya. The Gatavantam is also coming as a Dvitiya Bhakti because it is a Visheshanam. Now what does it mean? Has Rama gone to the forest? Has he reached the forest already, as I'm saying the sentence? No, because it is Drakshami, which is in the future tense. What does it mean? When I see Rama in future, whenever I see him, because the action of seeing Rama has not completed, it will be in the future. It is not happening now also. It will be in the future. So at that point, whenever I see the Rama in the future, at that point or at that time, Rama's status would have been, it will be already, it will be reached. Rama's status will that of being reached the forest in future also. So it is like a relative. So Rama hasn't reached the forest as of now. May not know. He might have reached Vana as of now. That is not clear when I use the Drakshami in the future tense. But whenever I see him in the future, at that time, definitely he would have reached the forest. That is the meaning here. So this Gatavantam, Tavatu, or Gatavan, Gatavati, Gatavantam, all these Tavatu ending Kradanta words, they are coming as a Visheshanam and they indicate Bhutakala with respect to the actual Kriya Padam, whether it is Asit, Bhavishyati, or Apashyam, Drakshami, etc. They do not necessarily mean that the Gamana Kriya by Rama has happened as of now. So now generally the people who want to use this past tense in conversation, etc., they always use this, they tend to always, at least tend to use this Bhuta Kratanta forms, or the like Tavatu forms, especially like Gatavan, Drashtvati, Dhavitvan, Chalitavan, Chalitavati, Khaditavan, Khaditavati, etc. Very easily without realizing most of the time that they are not actually the real past tense. They are past tense, again relative, as we saw so far, right? So this is maybe because of the thought or thinking that it is easier to remember these Bhuta Kratanta forms or the Tavatu forms compared to the actual Lang Lakara forms, etc. But also many of the books also, they also teach or they put these Tavatu forms as the Bhutakala forms without actually explaining the notion behind it. Now, this confusion might have come from the grammar books like Laghu Siddhanta Kaumadi or etc., which are like, they say that they put this Tavatu, explain this Tavatu Krut Pratyaya as a Bhuta Kridanta or Bhuta Kalarthe, Bhuta Vritti, etc. But note that these are those Siddhanta Kaumudi or the other like Kashaka, etc. Those are the Sanskrit bhashyas or Sanskrit commentaries on Ashtadhyayi. Because they are written in Sanskritam, when somebody tries to explain the meaning of certain usages or certain words in Sanskrit itself, in that language itself, then it is hard to explain it. So they cannot, it is hard or it's challenging to explain that it is used in this sense, because the language was so much commonly used. These commentaries, they depend on or they rely on the actual usage for people to understand how it is used, rather than explaining the meaning behind it. So they focus on what pratyaya has to be used, and in general in what sense it is used. So in Sanskritam there is no term for like a past participle, right? Or present participle. So that kind of understanding or explanation doesn't come out from these commentaries. So they just say Bhuta Kradanta, Bhuta Kalartha. But one has to understand, look at the usages, how they are used. And many times they are used as an actual Bhutakala, which is okay, but now we have to understand that there is Asti, Asit, and what is the context there. So these cannot be directly, cannot be thought as a just a replacement for the lang lakara or the actual kriya padams which are used like apashyat, apashyam, agachat, etc. lang lakara or any other bhutakala forms of kriya padam, any other lakara. They are not actual replacements. They are namapadam and visheshanam. So one has to be aware of that. So instead of that, if you just look at this grammar books like commentaries, and since it is said that bhuta kalarthe or bhuta krananta, okay, so we can just replace that with the bhuta kala lakara forms. So that is not the right way of using the, or at least understanding the tavatu krudanta forms of those dhatus. Astu, धन्यवादः.